Hi guys! Today we'll be doing this Suicide Squad Joker inspired repaint. After I did my Harley Quinn doll, this was the most requested project, so I hope you enjoy. For this project I'll be using this old doll that I bought second hand. Some of you might notice that it is actually the same doll that I also used for my Harry Potter repaint, but I'll be using the same doll again because I couldn't find a suitable doll to be the Joker either. The sculpt of this doll is not ideal and he is also a bit too tanned, but it is honestly the best doll I could find since everything in the Danish toy stores right now have sculpted hair, which I couldn't use. But it's easier if you choose a doll that's much paler to start with. I started by removing his factory paint and also his hair like I had done in the previous repaint videos. I didn't have any doll hair in the right toxic shade of green, so I decided to try and use yarn. After combing out the yarn and straightening it on a very low setting, I simply use it to reroute the doll like I usually do. If you guys want to see more details of how making yarn into doll hair, let me know and I'll be sure to film the process next time I use it. Before starting the actual repaint, I sprayed the face with 3 thin coats of Mr. Super Clear, letting it dry in between. As per usual, I used a bit of chalk pastel and my watercolor pencils to do the actual repaint. Firstly, I lightened up the skin tone a bit since the Joker is really pale by spreading a layer of white chalk pastel over the face and then sealing with the spray again. Depending on how pigmented your chalk pastel is, you might need to do a few coats. Then I started adding the feature using a picture for reference. Normally I build up the layers of my colored pencils gradually, but today I already made so many layers of the spray due to the lightening of the skin and such, so I decided to use the watercolor effect, which is a heavier color right away. I was inspired by one of the pictures where he is wearing his crocodile purple coat, I think it is, walking towards the camera and looking slightly up, which is why I did the eyes this way. Because the face is all a solid pale color, be sure to add in some definition to his face by shading. I just use a tiny bit of black, meaning it looked grey, just to make his face look really sunken in. For the tattoos, I used the black color pencil straight on the face just to sketch out where they needed to go, and then used the watercolor effect on a small brush afterwards to make the color stand out. Finally, I added the scars before sealing it with the spray one final time. Next up is the hair. Stroke it back and give it a trim. To style it, I used some watered down tacky glue and simply brushed it in place. And that's the head done. For the body, I tried to lighten it the same way I did the face, by adding the spray first and then coats of the white pastel. But since the body is a different type of plastic, it didn't take as well, so it became paler, but not as much as the face, sadly. Then I found reference pictures again, and then drew on the tattoos as best I could. Once you're happy with the tattoo, seal it with the spray and let it dry. The doll came with a pair of pants that were slightly coming apart, so I decided to cut them completely apart to use them to make a pattern for the new pants. I also took out the button of the pants to reuse for later. Then you want to get out your fabric. I'm using this stretchy blue satin. Then trace on the pattern, flip it over and make it opposite piece and then cut them out. Then you want to fold up the bottom and top of each pant leg and use a hot iron to straighten it. Then use needle and matching thread to sew the folds in place. Then fold over and sew the side where the button is gonna be, which is the part that closes over the butt in the back, so it looks nice and neat. Then sew each pant leg. Then sew the two legs together at the crotch, leaving it open in the back. Then turn them right side out and attach the button. Then I used acrylic paint to do the writing down one pant leg. And that's the finished pants. Now onto the coat. Firstly, I sketched around the doll to start my pattern. For the front pattern, be sure to add a little flap at the top for the collar. To make the sleeves, you need to measure the doll both from shoulder down to hand, and from armpit to hand, and then also how big the arm is around. For the coat, I'll be using this imitated snake skin in a purple color, since it was the closest I could get to the pattern. Trace all your pattern pieces to the fabric and cut them out, leaving room to sew. Since this sort of fabric won't fray, you can cut away any excess at both the bottom, the neck opening, and also at the front. For the two front pieces of the coat, you want to glue on another piece of fabric for lining, just at the collar and down the coat as well, to make sure when you open it up and fold it over that it shows the pattern there as well. Then you want to sew the two front pieces onto the back piece by the shoulders. Then sew in the two sleeves. Then sew down the sleeves and the side of the coat. To make the collar fold over properly, I gave it a single stitch in each side to keep it in place. Then you want to make a pattern piece for the rest of the collar like this. Trace it onto the fabric and cut it out, leaving extra at the bottom, and then gluing another piece to the other side so it has pattern on both. Then glue or sew the collar in place. Add some simple cuffs simply by gluing on the strip of fabric around the end of the sleeves. As a final detail, I glued on a few purple nail art studs for the buttons. And there's the finished coat. Finally, I made a really simple walking cane by gluing together two small wooden dowels, painting them with acrylic paint and alcohol ink, and sealing them off with a layer of Mod Podge. And there we go, that's our repaint done. Taking into consideration how much trouble I had finding a proper doll for this, I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. I post him together with my Harley Quinn doll. If you want to see how I made her, the video is up on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have requests for future repaint videos, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in my next one real soon. Bye!